Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to cross the Øresund once again, and we're going to return it to one of my favourite Danish craft breweries, and probably one of my favourite breweries in Scandinavia actually. I've really enjoyed their beers since I actually moved over here a couple of years ago. So for this one we are going to return to Amager Bryghus in Copenhagen, and we're having a taste of a beer that I think will be very interesting. So this one is called the Baby Wombat from Hell, and they're describing it as an old school porter. It comes in at 6% ABV, and it seems to be quite highly regarded as well. On Rate Beer, when I was checking this one out, it had a 96 overall, and I think it was a 92, 93 within the style actually, so it should be a pretty damn good beer. Most of the beers that I've had from Amager Bryghus, of course, have been IPAs and stuff like this, but you know, they're darker beers that I've had, such as, you know, the Herr Fredriksson, got the amazing Gotland Campfire beer. You know, some of the dark beers that these guys produce are really damn awesome as well. So very curious to see how this one turns out, and it's great to return to Amager Bryghus, I guess, after about 2-3 months or something like that. I'm very much looking forward to their Wicked Tales of Scotland series coming out. I really hope that I can get over to Copenhagen and get a box set of that. I need to see if I can get over to the launch party for those beers. But yeah, this one should be a very interesting beer, and as always, I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. I always enjoy reviewing some of the different beers from the guys at Amager Bryghus. So as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Amager Bryghus before. No doubt there will be some more in the near future. This must be review number 15 or so that I'm doing from these guys. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Danish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then, to tell you a little bit about Amager Bryghus then. So as I've told you many a time, Amager Bryghus are based in Kastrup in Copenhagen in Denmark, and these guys are probably one of the best known Danish craft breweries these days, and from what I gather they are one of the biggest volume producers in Denmark, outside of, you know, I think these guys are actually the biggest, or one of the biggest craft breweries that you're going to find in Denmark these days. Mikkeller and Toil, of course, produce huge volumes, but not all of that is actually produced in Denmark. Most of it, of course, is produced in Belgium, or in Mikkeller's case now, over in the US. But this brewery was established back in April of 2007 by two friends, Morten Valentin Lundsbach and Jakob Storm, both of whom had been avid homebrewers for a number of years. But apparently when they were in school together, they were forced to do a chemistry and physics project, so they decided to write about the fermentation process in beers, and after this they really just found themselves hooked on the idea of brewing their own beers. But both gained their brewing diplomas from the Scandinavian Brewing School in 2008, and the company has since gone on to become very highly decorated. These guys are one of the most highly decorated Danish craft breweries that you're going to find these days. But their first brewery is located in Tornby in the southern part of Copenhagen, and they've been constantly expanding over the last few years, and they very recently moved to a new site which is closer to the airport, and this one has a far larger capacity. From what I understand now, the brewer that they have, she's Brazilian. She was previously brewing for Brewski in Helsingborg and has since moved over to Amager Bryghus, and she's producing some very interesting stuff. So you know, Amager Bryghus, as I've always said, one of my favourite breweries that you're going to come across in Scandinavia. One of the great things about this brewery, in my opinion, is that they don't just stick to brewing IPAs and stuff like that. You will find a big diversity of styles from Amager Bryghus. They seem to be getting a little bit more adventurous in recent times with sour beers and stuff like this, so I do need to, you know, I do need to try and be a little bit more prolific in these Amager Bryghus reviews for you, and get some of the different styles and things like that. But I chose this one because I like the name of it. It was a porter, and I haven't reviewed a dark beer from these guys in a little while actually, other than the one you saw me review with Casey and Eric over at Sotogamiaki Habura in Japan. But yeah, as I say, that's all you really need to know about Amager Bryghus just now. If you want to learn a little bit more, do check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and keep up to date with all the latest goings on at the brewery. These guys are they're a very, very prolific brewery, so you will get lots of different beers from them, as I mentioned, and definitely one of the Scandinavian breweries that you really want to check out. Since they've changed to these little 330ml bottles from the 500s, of course, and they have been able to get their beer out there a little bit more, and the new brewery, of course, means they've got a far greater brewing capacity as well. But yeah, very interesting company, this one, so check out the links in the description below if you want to learn more. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. Let's get on to the actual beer itself then. I can get rid of my coins that I had. I was sitting this beer at an angle so that you didn't get the glare off the computer screen for my brewery notes. But yeah, nicely presented, this one. As I always do with these Amager Bryghus beers, I'm going to read the little blurb to you, because they always, you know, I always love this about Amager. They love to write stupid things on the side of their bottles. So it says, if you ever did imagine an image, search for Baby Wombat on the internet, you'll probably have encountered a horribly cute and innocent looking little blind thing with a transparent pink skin. But that's it. The innocence of a baby wombat lasts exactly 1 day. On day 2 it will develop a sulphurous bad breath. On day 3 it will grow its notoriously prickly ass hackles, and on day 4 it will have turned into a full-blown fiery beast, not unlike its southern cousin, the Tasmanian devil. But the wombats native to the most northerly regions of the Finnish Lapland are worse. Not only are they deprived of the slightest sense of humour, but they come hungry, extremely hungry, and often massively armed. If a wombat had its way, it would consume up to 2 reindeer a day. In particular, good wombat seasons, it has been said that Lappish reindeer have been so few that even Santa Claus had serious recruitment issues for his sledge. So dear beer drinker, this beer is not a tribute, it's a warning against a beast so uncompromisingly evil that not even a single Finnish metal band has dared take their name from this hellish creature, and that alone is saying a lot. Yeah, no, Finland in heavy metal, and generally Scandinavia and the Nordic countries in heavy metal, you know, are just great. So yeah, again, just another really random thing from Amager Bryghus there. So I'll just like have a little look at the artwork of this one more closely before we open it up. There you can see another one of these beautiful labels that you'll find from Amager. And yeah, the stats on this beer then, this one comes in at 6% ABV. The malts in this one are Munich chocolate, low chocolate and crystal number 400, and the hops in this one are Columbus and Centennial. So Columbus, of course, a standard bittering hop. It can give you quite a spicy distinctive character, and the Centennial usually gives you a little bit of lemon, but it will behave differently, of course, when it's in a darker beer. And the yeast that they've used in this one is a mixed UK ale yeast, and it should be served, this beer, between 7 and 11 degrees. So I think I've got this at pretty much quite a nice temperature. I think I might have to keep the label off this bottle as well, but yeah, nicely presented beer, this one. And we'll see how we get on. There, of course, is the Amager Bryghus bottle cap for you once again, which I've always liked. I do like the little tap thing that they've got on the side there. But yeah, without further ado then, let's get this guy out and we will have a taste of this beer then. So I believe this one was bottled in October of 2018, because, you know, they're recommending that it is October 2021 is the best buy date on this beer. So yeah, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting then. Oh, doesn't want to come that apparently. Yeah, so yeah, let's get it out and we'll get it into the glass then. Scared for that there, I thought I was losing this bottle. But yeah, sugar up the last little bit and just make sure that we get ahead on this one then. So yeah, lovely looking beer this. Nothing overall really surprising about this in terms of its appearance. You know, it's pretty much exactly as you would expect from a porter beer. A nice, lovely, dark ebony rosewood colour. If I hold it up to the light, it does have a little hint of a kind of Coca-Cola or very, very dark chestnut edge. But, you know, pretty much pitch black ebony rosewood colour. And there's a solid 2/3 finger of a frothy, I would say, kind of medium tan head on this one, quite a dark beige if nothing else, and you can see the head does recover a little bit when you shoot the beer up, but 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But, you know, overall it does look pretty nice, but nothing overly surprising in terms of its appearance when you consider it is a porter. If we compare this to the English porters, it's saying it's an old school porter, which you know, I reckon it's probably either intended as an American take on the porter or it is an old English porter. It's 6% is the usual ABV you'd expect from an American porter, but compared to the English ones, normally you're talking about 4.5%. So this one is a little bit heavier in terms of its alcohol content than an English porter. But as I said, this one had 96 overall in rate beer and 92 within the style, and it had a high rating on Untappd as well. I think this beer was first introduced back in 2017. But yeah, let's have a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on with this one. Ooh, now that does smell really nice actually. So with this beer, the first thing you're going to notice, it's got a very, the roasty black malts that come out of this one come across as very smooth and almost earthy, to be quite honest with you. It's definitely got a little bit of a kind of coffee-ish aroma to it, this one. I think that will be the carafa that's in here. I'm sure it said it was carafa that they'd added to this, or crystal, sorry. It must be the crystal that's given it that little bit of smoothness. But there's a lot of chocolate in this one. You know, you can pick up, there's a good little mix here. Some of the chocolate is more milky, but some of it's that little more kind of high intensity cocoa note. I would guess the chocolate that's in here is a sort of 60, 70, this, if you compare that chocolate aroma, it's around the sort of 60-70% cocoa mark actually that's coming out in the aroma here. But yeah, there's a lovely smoothness about this beer. At the same time though, that malt base is almost balanced with a little bit of sweetness, which is quite interesting. There's definitely, the malt base is very interesting how it goes together. You've got roasty black malts, almost a coffee-like, slightly coffee-like smoothness to this, and you've got a little bit, you've got a lot of these chocolate notes in there as well. There's not really a brown sugar element to this one, but the sweetness that's coming out of this is almost a little bit more kind of lactosey, I would say. It's almost, this beer to me it almost comes across as having a little bit of lactose in it, and I don't think it's said that they'd put lactose in this at all. I do like this about Amager Bryghus, incidentally, that they always put the ingredients on it, but yeah, no lactose in this one. But if I was blind smelling that, I might reckon that there is a little bit of lactose in this beer. It just has a little bit of that kind of sweetness to it. But yeah, I love how the aroma's going together on this one. It's all about the malts, and it's very, in terms of porters that I've smelt before, even though it has a little bit of that roasty black malt backbone and the coffeeness in there, the overall, you know, the aroma is leaning towards being a little bit sweeter, I would say. I really like how everything's going together in this beer. The aroma is definitely just about how all these different kind of components fit together. A little bit of an earthy hop in there. You're also getting a little bit of grassiness, and I think I can pick up a little tiny bit of an almost lemony note from the Amarillo, and there's a little touch of red fruit coming out of this one, just like a sort of candied red fruit strawberry sort of thing in there. So yeah, really interesting aroma in this one. It's one of the more interesting porters that I've come across in recent times actually, but I don't review all that many porters now that I think, or you know, when I think about it on the channel. It's a shame because it is a style that I really quite enjoy, particularly the American porters. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what Amager's take on this one is then. So this one is, to give it its proper name, the Baby Wombat from Hell, an old school porter coming in at 6% ABV from Amager Bryghus over in Copenhagen. One of my favourite Scandinavian breweries. Let's get stuck in. Slanja, skål. Oh yeah. I'm going to say straight away, this is one of the best low ABV beers that I've had from Amager Bryghus. You know, and even it's 6%, so it's not the lowest ABV one that they do. Fair enough, they've done a number of pale ales and things like that. But yeah, this beer is really pretty good. You know, in terms of when you think about the rate beer ratings, I usually say on the channel, my opinion of rate beer is that you take it with a little bit of a pinch of salt. What I'll say about this one is that the rate beer rating that this has is wholly justified. I mean, I've had some very good beers from Amager, but this one for me is one that it just really strikes me right away. And some of the beers that I've had from them have been growers, if you like, but my favourite beers that I've probably had from these guys, you know, the Amazing Gotland Campfire beer, Winter in Bangalore, Batch 1000, Herr Fredriksson, of course, is a little bit of a classic. You know, I've had some very good beers from these guys over the last couple of years, but this is one, it's just really striking me on the first taste. I've only taken one sip of this beer, but I can tell right away this is just a, you know, this is a very good one, and it's one of their lower ABV beers. I think I've had one or two porters from them before, but this one I think is something a little bit special. So if you get the chance to try this, I really would say have a go at this beer. Yeah. You know, the porter, if you compare it to the Imperial Stout, the porter, you know, it's a lighter kind of easy drinking beer, but I always say this about the likes of the German traditional beers as well. A lot of people just want, you know, big, massive hoppy IPAs and stuff like this, and or the, you know, the huge Imperial Stouts. A lot of people just kind of go for that, but there's a lot of beer styles in the middle of that, such as, you know, the German Dunkels, the Helles and things like that, such as the porters, and you know, Doppelbocks and things like that. There's a lot of people forget about these slightly more traditional beer styles, but if you get a very, very well done one, it's also a very, very kind of satisfying tasting experience. And for me, this beer is one of those that kind of falls into that category. They've done, you know, Amager, very, very capable brewery, and they've just, you know, they've done just a very nice job of this beer. So thumbs up to them. But let's try and break this down again, and see if we can put together a nice kind of tasting profile for this beer. So yeah, with this one then, the further into the aftertaste you go, you can feel the roasty kind of black malts kind of pushing their way out of this beer a little bit. In the middle of your palate, there's definitely a little bit of a kind of a sort of coffee-ish smoothness to this one. And it's quite surprising because there's not coffee beans or anything like that added to this beer, which is interesting. But yeah, it has a lovely, lovely smoothness to it, this beer, and it also, you can feel that some of the crystal malt in there. The crystal malt just gives you this kind of slightly smooth blanket to the beer. You can feel the black malts. It has a little bit of that black malty quality just underneath it, but then the crystal is giving it a really nice just smoothness in that, and that's probably contributing to this almost kind of coffee-like flavour that the beer has. There's a good little bit of chocolate in here, a little bit more towards the front of the palate. I think you can detect a more milky chocolate flavour, but further towards the back of your palate, I think it's, pardon me, a kind of slightly darker, higher cocoa, higher percentage cocoa chocolate that's coming out of this one. So yeah, it's really nice just how all the flavours in this beer are going together. I think there's almost a little bit of a woody flavour towards the front of your palate as well. Maybe it's just a little touch kind of nutty as well. Yeah, there's definitely an element of a woody kind of nutty flavour. Just if you just go into the very centre of your palate and come forward a little bit, there is just an element of a woodiness to this beer, which is very nice. I like when you get porters that have got this kind of level of complexity to them. But this is a very, very smooth porter at the same time. You know, the Danes, I always found Copenhagen, as I've told you many a time, is a very, very good craft beer city, but Denmark generally has some really, really good craft brews, and I've always found the Nordic countries tend to be particularly strong in the dark beers, but at the same time they produce some awesome IPAs. But some of these dark beers that you'll get, things at the darker end of the spectrum in Scandinavia, always tend to be very, very good. So yeah, with this one, this is just a lovely example of a porter. I think in terms of the porter style overall, its flavour profile is leaning a little bit more towards the American style porter. So I wonder if by old school porter they mean like an old school American type porter rather than an English one. But at the same time, it does have a little bit of that English quality to it as well, that more roasty quality that's coming out of this one. Is a bit more reminiscent of the old English porters. In the back corners of the palate then, on the hoppy side of things, you've got a good little bit of earthiness in there. That'll be the Columbus that's giving you that, but when you come further forward you can feel a little bit of a kind of floral aromatous to this one. It starts off almost herbal, but there is a little element of a floral quality around the front, just up at the front corners of the palate, then round the very front curve of the tongue it's just a little bit lighter and more grassy and things, and behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get some of these really nice juicy fruity esters coming out of the beer. So yeah, for me with this one, you've almost got a little bit of a, it's got a little tiny touch of a sort of candied red fruit, you know, like the little heart-shaped sweets that you get in Haribo Starburst. It's almost a little bit kind of blackcurranty or something like that as well. It's just got these typical very light red sort of berry fruits that you would expect from this kind of beer style. There is a little tiny tinge of a sort of lemony, sort of grassy, citrusy quality to this one. Centennial, of course, as I say, if you use it in an IPA, it does give you a nice lemon sherbety flavour, but in this in this porter, in this dark beer, it's giving you more of a nice kind of ready fruit quality, which is interesting. I would wonder how Williamette would turn out in a porter. That's a kind of fairly popular American hop. I don't think I've had one that's had Centennial as the main sort of flavour hop, if you like. So it's interesting to know that you can get some of these nice red fruity qualities out of Centennial as well in these darker beers. But yeah, as I say, this is just a lovely porter. In terms of the porter style overall, I think this one's a little bit sweeter than some of the other ones that I've had, but at the same time it's all about the balance, the almost coffee-ish flavours that you get out of this one, and the roasty black malts in this beer just make it very, very nice. So yeah, have a go at this one for yourself and see what you think. It really reminds me of you know, what I thought of the Alice Porter from Brewdog when I was first really getting into craft beer. This one is quite a nostalgic beer for me, but yeah, I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again, and it gets a big thumbs up from me. But you know, it's Amager. They do some really awesome stuff, and I'm not surprised that they've produced a beer of this quality. So yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say bottom end of mid-bodied this beer, but a porter is always lighter than an imperial stout, you know, as a given. Carbonation in this one, a little bit prickly, but mainly quite smooth. The mouthfeel overall in this one is leaning towards the smoother side of things. It's almost got a little bit of a creamy edge to it, to be honest, but not too much. Nice little bit of hoppy bitterness to this beer. I would guess it's somewhere around the sort of 30-ish, 40 IBU mark. There's a bit of bitterness coming both from the malt base in this and from the earthy side of the hops. Malt base, quite smooth, little bit of roasty quality in there, a little bit of sweetness from the chocolate, but overall it's more about the kind of roasty black malts and a nice little bit of a kind of juicy fruit in there as well. But overall, just a very, very nice beer, this one, and one that I'd highly recommend you have a go at. It's definitely a nostalgia beer. If you remember the old Alice Porter from Brewdog, then this is one that I think you are going to enjoy if you enjoyed that beer. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. Just another very, very solid beer from Amager Bryghus, and it's cool to go back to a style that I've not reviewed too many of in recent times. So this one is the Baby Wombat from Hell, an old school porter at 6% ABV from Amager Bryghus over in Copenhagen, one of my favourite Scandinavian breweries. So it's been cool to review this, and I hope you guys have enjoyed my take on it. Until the next time, Slanger just now, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Make sure you check out my social media, let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below, and let me know what your favourite beers are from Amager Bryghus as well. Hopefully I can review some of these wicked Tales of Scotland beers that they've been producing. But until the next time, Slanger just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Skål.